Let me start this profile by saying I wish I knew this deck as good as Doug does, but maybe one day we'll learn how to play this deck properly. What's going on, you guys? Slim here to profile another trap deck. And trap deck that, whether we like it or not, we are going to see it in this format. It's Altergeist, you guys, and it just came off a win at the PPG Invitational. If you guys are new here, consider subscribing. Be sure to hit the notification bell. It'll notify you when I upload, especially all these deck profiles. And yeah, I wanted to bring my version of Altergeist to you guys because this is a deck that we've seen in almost every format, and I think now that Red Reboot is at 1, and even with the release of Lightning Storm, this deck is still going to be around. It just won the PPG, beating Spirals in the final. This deck is very scary. This deck was scary before. This deck is still scary. The deck could still do pretty decent when Red Reboot was at 3, and even though Lightning Storm's a card, you know, there's still the limitations that card has. This deck has just been insane. Like, this deck has been one of the craziest trap decks since it came out. Multi-Faker changed everything, and even with Multi-Faker going to 1, Doug proved it, many Altergeist players proved it, that it didn't matter. You were still able to do what Altergeist has always done. And I think overall the deck is going to be one of the best, if not the best, control decks as far as these back row trap decks go. But yeah, we'll get into it. This is just my version of the deck. It's very standard, a little similar to the list that won, but I did make a couple changes just for cards I wanted to test out, and hopefully it's to your guys' liking. But yeah, we'll start with the basics. So of course, the 1 mono faker. This card is nice. Yeah, if you open Imperm in this, I mean, it's just your day. I sure haven't, but, you know, sometimes you get lucky. This card is still insane, and I mean, everyone thinks that this card is really hard to see, but you see it. All the Altergeist players I've gone against, all the times I've tested it, you always find a way to multi-faker pretty early, unless you just completely brick. But yeah, the card's insane. 3 copies of Marionetter. I mean, this is just your main starter. If you don't have Molaseek, you know, just get your Protocol. Protocol is such an insane card. I absolutely love that card. And yeah, this card's great. This card's other effect is also insane. Like, I don't think people utilize that effect enough. Like, this being able to reborn the multi-faker is insane. Being able to reborn a Molaseek is insane. Like, that effect is so strong. And yeah, I noticed really good Altergeist players utilize that effect a lot, because you can really just build a board. And even the guy who won the PPG said that you can actually OTK when they leave a blank board, which is crazy. So it's pretty nice. Probably still my favorite one in this deck is Molaseek. A lot of people probably don't remember, but I played this deck in YCS Pasadena of 2018, a long time ago, when Sky Strikers were still at full power and we had to main deck Village. And yeah, I actually really like this deck. This was like one of my favorite cards. Just being able to, you know, rip apart boards and just being able to send cards was insane. Card's still nuts. The 2 Silk, and of course the 1 Kinkiri. This card is really nice in this deck because you can just keep negating attacks, bouncing it back with Silk, and keep negating attacks and negating cards on the board, and it does so many things. It's insane. Like, he was talking about being able to negate the what is it? You're able to negate the resort. You can just negate like other things so that you know the spirals are protected. Like, there's a lot of cool things you can do with this card. I really like this card a lot. I feel that you definitely should play this card. I heard players were cutting that card. I don't understand. I always like that card. A 1 of is fine. And then just for the only main monster hand trap is the 3 Ash. It's hard to say because I know most people would say we got to play Droll because of Spiral format, but for those of you that remember when Altergeist was around before, they didn't play Droll. They didn't play Droll because there is really not a deck that can consistently OTK you or consistently, you know, if you buy yourself a turn, you can't fully OTK. I know you can these days. I just don't know how consistent that is. So some players have opted to just side the Droll for the Spiral matchup because it's not good against every other matchup. It's not that good against this matchup. It's not that great against other decks you might play against. So Ash is still the most generic hand trap and still really solid in this deck. So again, I just wanted to keep it simplified, but we could definitely see the hand traps changing as you know, the format progresses. Remember, again, we only have the 1 event, so it's kind of hard to gauge what's going on right now, but soon we'll have more data so we can work with that. Oh no, spells. Like the best spell, this card is nuts. Along with 2 duality for consistency. This is all you need. His ratio is what every Altergeist player has played, and this is the reason why. Like, it's so strong. Like, this card is insane. Duality is insane. Just helps you see your side cards too. Helps you dig. They work in tandem with each other since you're not drawing cards off of Extravagance after it resolves. So yeah, there's no reason not to play these cards. These are like the 5 best spells you can play in the deck. Now, for the main reason why this deck is crazy, all the traps. What should be called Altergeist spoofing, but isn't. Yeah, this card is insane. This is like one of your main ways you just get to multi-figure if you don't open it. You know, just resolving one of these, as long as it sticks on the board for like more than a turn, you pretty much win. You just keep looping cards, and you know, you just keeps just doing insane things. This card is nuts. Absolutely love this card. And then I'm still doing the 2 Protocol and the 1 Manifestation. I haven't fully committed to the 2nd copy of Manifestation. I know a lot of players do like it. They do like that you can that you can, have a couple of them and then just start doing things. It is pretty nice bringing back Silk, bringing back Multi-Faker is insane. Using it with Silk is insane because of the reruling. So yeah, this card's pretty nice. I might have to test the second one going forward, but for now I'm still doing the standard 2-in-1 that I was doing before. I think the guy that won the PPG played 2. Again, it's something I'll probably test. Altergeist players who are watching, you guys can tell me if you like 2 or if 1 is still fine. We're not playing Desires in this deck at all, so you never have the problem of banishing it. Like, I remember when we used to have to play Desires and you could just lose this card, so it was crazy. But yeah, now you never run into that problem. So Manifestation's still pretty cool. That card does a lot. So 3 in Perm, this is just another standard good hand trap. This and Faker is insane. It's just a good card in general in this deck. I feel like there's no reason not to play this card in this deck. I heard people talking about how this card is kind of a little subpar, and I can understand why. Like, you can't really completely break boards with it. Like, it's not bad going first though. Going second at least gives you an option to try and turn something off, but I know players are trying other cards, and again, other hand traps might change as the format continues to establish itself, but for now I still really like this card, and I think this is the one deck that really utilizes this card the most, especially with Faker. And a lot of times, like I said, if you get to Faker in your combos and you just do that in Faker, it's like insane. So yeah. Then on to the cool part of the deck. The card I like is all the Solemns. So I really like Solemn cards. Don't look at my ugly super one there. We're just gonna cover that. But yeah, there's 3 of each. These cards are just nuts. There's no reason not to play these cards in the deck. I thought about playing 2 and 2, but in this deck, there's no reason not to. The difference between this and Subterror is that going first, you're only out to Lightning Storm that I know of is to have the access to, I guess, the Judgment. If you don't have the Judgment, then it kind of sucks, but outside of that, it's been fine. And Strike is just insane, especially going first or second. This card is nuts, which I really like about it, so that's very strong. Then on to what I call the 2 of gang cards I'm just trying. So it's 2 copies of Evenly instead of 3. I know some players are playing 3. I know the list that 1 played 3. I just wanted to actually play a lot of 2 ofs and just try some more cards. I played it with 2 Crackdown and 2 Lost Winds. So the reason why I chose these cards is I was trying Compulse too, but I noticed Compulse was a little underwhelming. I valued Lost Wind more because you could reset it and use it again. Crackdown is just really solid. I even thought about going to 3. Evenly was cool. It gave you an option going second. Like, obviously you always want to go first with this deck, but this gave you an option to play this card going second and, just kind of break apart a board, and the opponent doesn't see it coming. Well, they might see it coming now, but not as much anymore. It's kind of hard for decks to play around this, like if they don't have the negate for it. So you can just break a whole board and then just start doing Altergeist things, and it's insane. And the 40th card I played, and I still don't know, but so far it's still good, is the 1 Order Saw. Okay, we know Striker is not the #1 deck, but every deck needs spells to go off. Like, every deck pretty much needs spells to go off in some shape or form, and you could just hard stack it. Like, I've seen people hard stack it. Like, you guys remember the Dino profile I did? My old roommate ended up losing to Order game 1 and game 3. They just hard opened it. Like, you can't search his card, but you literally just opened it. So I mean, it can be a game ender by itself. There's no reason, I think, in my personal opinion, to not play this card in this deck, because your spells are so minimal. And again, this can steal you a game, because if decks really do rely on their spells, like if they're playing draw cards or playing anything like that, this just really helps. Like, this helps a lot. And I mean, like, again, it's just an unsearchable one of that. If you do open it, 9 times out of 10, if the deck is playing a lot of spells, you can just win off of that 1 card. So yeah, so it's 40 cards. Like I said, there are some changes that might happen as I test the deck more, but this is a pretty just standard list you guys can use as like a skeleton. Again, that's kind of the point with these deck profiles, just to give you guys ideas for the format. Extra deck. So extra deck matters in this deck. Unlike a lot of decks, it actually does matter. So you have to play 3 Hextia and the 1 Prime Banshee. So these cards are just, they're like the main cards, mostly Hextia. I myself haven't gone into Prime Banshee that much, but when you do, it's pretty nice. There are some pretty cool things that it can do, but usually you're just going Hextia. It helps you negate Lightning Storm and whatnot. So these are pretty standard. Don't need to explain those. So I don't have 3 Link Kribo, so I only played 2, and then I put a second All Mirage. You guys already know, if you want, just play a 3rd Link Kribo and 1 All Mirage. They both come up. I mean, I'm not playing Sangan. I won't play that card. I don't like that card at all. I tested it, I think, for like 2 games, and I just absolutely hated it. So yeah, 2 and 2 was fine, but again, if you have a 3rd Link Kribo, I'd probably value the Link Kribo more than the All Mirage. But All Mirage is still a cool card, so to each his own. They both get Molaseek off the board and into into your Faker search, so it's nice. And then the rest are just all utility cards that come up. So Hita comes up, Ash, etc. Crackdown and Ash is whatever against Solomon Great 2. That does come up. The Nightmares that you make, no point for Cerebus, but Phoenix and Unicorn are the most versatile. That's in pretty much every deck profile. And then this card was one that I saw the guy that won the PPG talked about. So yeah, this card is nuts. This card does out problematic cards like the BLS Link and other cards like that. Being able to crack down something and then make your own Hexy or whatever and, do that is pretty nice. So just having this and then being able to, send is ridiculous, and it doesn't target, so that's really, really solid. I think Ningirsu is a really cool card. It's a card people forget about, but even Striker, we're playing it to out problematic cards. So remember this card. It's still pretty good. And then the 4s that I know most players are playing is the Crusadia Avermax, the Borreload, and the Boral Sword. So this is an out to sleeper. This card is just insane. A lot of decks struggle with this, and this is just an OTK enabler. It can come up. A lot of people forget that is that this deck does link summon and it does link climb, and it can make the link 4s, especially with the use of crackdown and stuff like that. So do not sleep on any of these cards. You will be very surprised. I've seen Altergeist players make Boral Sword for game. I've seen them make Avermax. I've seen all these things happen. I can tell you from personal experience, you would rather play these cards in the deck than not play them, because you just want to have the utility. They get banished off Extravagance. Oh well, the main thing is that that you have them in there if they ever come up in those niche situations. But yeah, Altergeist, you guys, what can I say? I personally like the deck. I like it, but it's gotten to a point where everyone and their mom is trying to play this deck because it's it's just insane. If you have the pot of Extravagances, I don't blame you for wanting to play a deck like this. Now everyone argues, well, Spiral's so strong, but yeah, if you win the die roll, go first. Like, Spiral's gonna struggle because you have all these insane trap cards. Multi-Figure is insane. Silk is insane. All these cards do a lot of things. Protocol is like such an MVP against all those decks. Being able to negate everything is nuts. And you like I said, you can get to your Multi-Figure even if it's at 1 pretty consistently. Again, hand traps might change as we go forward, but so far I've been pretty content with this standard list to start with. And we're just gonna keep testing it and keep moving around with it and see if there's cards that like I said, if a card like this doesn't make the cut, we can play another good trap or something like that. But yeah, Altergeist, you guys, be prepared this format. You're gonna see this deck a lot. Yes, there's a lot of outs to the deck, but remember, for every out there is to a trap deck has a counter to that counter. So just always remember that. Just good thing to know. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. If you guys are trying to build this deck, you guys already know. TCG player link in the description below, yada yada, etc, the same stuff. But yeah, Altergeist is a pretty crazy deck. I think all these trap decks are going to be nuts this format, and even though Spiral is proving to be so far the best deck, don't sleep on these decks ever, because we all thought Spiral was going to win, and what ended up happening? Geist won. So don't ever sleep on the trap decks, you guys. They definitely will take you by surprise, and you just want to be prepared. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.